How can we explore the physicality of research in the context of the art museum?
How can materials disrupt theory in terms of research and practice?
My objects are a rock, a ball of wool, another ball of wool, and a piece of wood that I found.
My object is couscous.
A silver candlestick.
Ball of string.
55mm skateboard wheels.
When we asked you to bring 500 grams, the narrative or the task may have started weeks ago when you received the invite, or it may be hours ago. Some things have been ordered, selected, weighed, some are intentional, there are emotional connections, but some are haphazard, there are guesstimations or grabbings as you walk out the door, but are they all equal? When is the salami the same as a shoe? When we weigh it?
There's nowhere more appropriate to think about research and materiality than an art museum stuffed full of objects that are themselves stuffed full of ideas.
Rather than a notepad and a pen, you have a flat pat box and an armband to keep the physicality and the materiality of thinking close at hand today. Knowledgeable objects are always ready to be completed by others, or in a sense are never quite themselves. I would like it if we weren't quite ourselves today. We're inviting you to share your stuff, understanding that your matter matters, and in pairs you have the opportunity to discuss what you bought, what it is, what it could be, other people's perceptions of it, what the thought process has enabled it to become, and how this kind of manifested in it being brought here today. In a sense, I'm interested today in how we understand measurement, value systems and hierarchies we put on matter and experience and thoughts in research. So what do we mean by research? What do we mean by its physicality? Does this have to be matter-based? And what are we measuring anything against?
I get a sense there's a bit of a willfulness in the room. Not only a willfulness on the part of the people, but also there might be some misbehaviour on the part of the materials.
Maybe slightly bold and possibly disruptive actions on my part. Objects have changed. Participation can be quite a messy business.
What does your research start with? Who else is involved in your research? What do they look like? How does it behave? What does it end with? Is it possible to co-create a sense of what research looks like and how it develops?
All I ask people to do is to take this as a metaphor for a thought. There would be some people going, it's not a thought, it's a button. It's the literal, the dominance of the literal. And I think, certainly in art education, maybe in all education, that we need to move away from the literal towards not knowing, to break something, to allow something to come undone.
Imagine text as a shape or a form, and then see if you can find a way to act out that shape in space. You could use a gesture or a movement in the space. So now you're going to draw that form. From the drawing, forgetting everything that came before, take a piece of plasticine and now rework that into three-dimensional space.
Keep relaxed. Just keep replaying the day's activities in your mind, how you move through the space. Think about any experiences, what happened there. I want you to try and wrestle what you experienced into a word and try and manifest it on the page, however it comes out. You can mix your words up, see them as matter and play with them on the page. We're going to attempt to transform that statement into some kind of material manifestation. These materials are really mundane, they're quite office-based. So I want you to really get physical with them and think about how you can transform them, how to make poetry out of this kind of matter.
The physicality of research, to me, is about the way in which the research process is enacted through the body.
People themselves are material, and they express themselves and they're aware of their relationships with each other.
I quite like the way that objects and material has a sort of inarticulacy that is really exciting and thrilling, but it's also really frustrating. And it's a kind of practice in itself to perhaps learn to sit with that frustration and make it productive.
The art is there and we are here, whereas with the objects you kind of feel like you meet it halfway and you bring meaning to it.
The possibility of encountering objects as forms of embodiment, are really crucial.
whilst wearing these sleeves and encountering the object, it became less about the space, less about the artwork on the walls, and actually more what was happening here, and more how it was the objects that kind of led that and brought about that encounter.
Physical properties of a particular material, what it can and can't do, is really important in what sort of potentialities it affords.
That whole sense of the materials giving us permission to think differently and behave differently. Quite a lot of that has been happening today.
What's important is that we can be disturbed and disturb in spaces. Through materials, we can feel that we are present in those spaces and articulating our ideas because we are here and we are active and we are mobilised by physicality of research.